Welcome back to another captivating episode of Cooperative Spotlight. I am your host, Karima Lewis, and today we have an enlightening discussion in store for you. Joining us on set are two individuals who possess extensive knowledge in the realm of cooperatives, Ms. Merryl Phillip Sylester and Mrs. Suzanne Hood Williams. In this second installment of our interview series, our aim is to shed light on the Department of Cooperatives. Together, Sylester and Williams will grace us with their expertise and provide valuable insights. But before we dive into this conversation, we will invite our guests to introduce themselves and share a glimpse of their journeys into the Department of Cooperatives. And we can start with Mrs. Merryl Sylester.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, my name is Merryl Phillip Sylester. I'm the Registrar of Cooperatives, acting. I entered the department in the year 2016. So my role is more or less administrative. I am responsible for managing the staff in the department. We have a complement of 6 staff. So myself as Registrar acting, I have a clerk typist, and now we only have 3 other officers. One has recently retired.
Okay. And Mrs. Hood Williams?
Yes, good day everyone again. My name is Suzanne Hood Williams. I'm the Chief Cooperative Inspector for the Department of Cooperatives. I entered the Department of Cooperatives the 3rd of June precisely of 2013. It was a journey, it was a challenge. They are challenges, and at this point, they prove to be many benefits getting into the Department of Cooperatives. The role that I play in the Department of Cooperatives is being the inspector of all the cooperative societies that are registered. Analysis. We go out to do introduction to cooperatives, and we help in the education and training of all groups wanting to form a cooperative. My challenge here is at the very inception, I really did not know anything about cooperatives, nothing at all. But I engaged in the reading a lot, and getting myself involved in all the activities of the department, which I now enjoy. Thank you.
All right. So, Mrs. Sylester, can you give us an overview of the Department of Cooperatives? Tell us when and why was the department created?
Okay, so to begin, I will start with the cooperative movement in Grenada. It dates back to the mid-1940s. In fact, in 1946, the first cooperative union was formed among civil servants, So at the very inception, it survived without any regulation and very little supervision. However, in 1955, the Cooperative Societies Ordinance was passed, but a Department of Cooperative was not established until the year 1957. However, it was only in 1958 that the department was conferred the responsibility for the regulation of all cooperative societies. However, by 1995, the legislation governing the cooperative movement was viewed as outdated or obsolete and ineffective. At that same time, there was a regional cooperative management plan for the OECS that was being developed by the Eastern Caribbean Economic Management Program, or ECAMP. Right? So that plan endeavored to promote the institutional strengthening of all cooperative departments within the region. The plan received the approval from the government of Grenada, and subsequently the plan was developed into a project, and Grenada was chosen as the pilot for the project. So the overall goal of the project was to promote financial sector reform in the OECS by strengthening and expanding the credit union sector. So the ECAMP project, it made a positive impact on the cooperative movement in Grenada. yeah, and it gave rise to new and improved legislation. So coming out of that project, we had the Cooperative Societies Act number 20 of 1996 and the Cooperative Societies Act number 2 regulations, SRO 63 of 1997. So with that new and improved legislation in place, the Department of Cooperative now was restructured in order to perform its new roles and functions. In 2007, the government of Grenada, it established a statutory body for the cooperative sector. And with that, the responsibility for the regulation of credit unions and other non-bank financial institutions were entrusted to that department, which is GAFIN, the Grenada Authority for the Regulation of Financial Institutions. So with the establishment of GAFIN, the department's role and responsibilities were curtailed significantly. So then we only had responsibility for regulating the non-financial cooperatives.
Okay. What are the roles and functions of the Department of Cooperatives?
The roles and functions. Sometimes we may look at our department and think that there are cooperative societies out there, and it's as I said before, it's a challenge. It was a challenge for me, and it still becomes a challenge because remember, you're dealing with people, all right, and people have different views on things. They look at things, different opinions. So, but in our case, the main roles of the department: we administer the Cooperative Societies Act, which Mr. Sylester has alluded to, Act number 8 of 2011, and the SR regulations, SRO 63 of 1997. These tools are used as guidance to work with all cooperatives, whether they are financial or they are non-financial. We also lead and manage the regulatory process. We have the procedures manual, which we use, which includes the benefits of cooperatives, the conditions required for the registration, step-by-step guide in registration, the application, the bylaws, which there are a set of rules that binds all cooperatives together, and your business plan and your work plan. We also help in establishing the producer service type, which we now call the non-financial. That is groups. We get groups of persons, or persons may want to do a little business, and they come to us and they say, look, we want to form a cooperative, or we want to do a business, which is, as we lay down, we always say it's a viable business. Yeah. And in dealing with that, we would get that group, introduce cooperatives to them, have a session, introduce cooperative, detailing all bits of the relevant information, the types. We have categories of the cooperatives. We have the basic principles that is used worldwide. Everybody, Caribbean in the world, they use the same 7 basic principles. The benefits of forming cooperatives and the structure of cooperatives, etc. We register. We are the department, we register all cooperatives. If you go date back, you would realize there are associations who are registered by the registry, yeah. But we register all cooperatives, our department, with all relevant documents. We do that. We extend the reach and impact of cooperatives. When I say that, I mean we go out and promote. We let the public know what we're doing, what our functions, what our roles. We go out to different communities and let people know this is what we do. So we're trying to impact, get people involved into business, not only going to work with somebody, but having their business. It's not a one-man show, it's their business. We also promote the cooperatives. When we go out, we promote the cooperatives as a viable business. And thereby it's a means of socio-economic empowerment. And for those of you, we socialize, we have a bond with persons together. Yeah, so that's how we empower ourselves. To create proper channels to enhance and develop cooperatives, thereby making it sustainable. Continuous education. We continue to train and educate the members of the cooperative, especially the board of directors, who are the management. They are the ones that really needs the education and training, but we still take care of everybody. Advise. We do a lot of advising to them. They may have a question, they may have a suggestion, and they want to make sure that it's okay to go ahead and do it. So we are there to advise you on what is the best take and what you should do, and such like. Settling disputes. We're dealing with human beings, so now and again you may have a little something. Persons may not like this and they may not like that. So we get ourselves involved with the Cooperative Societies Act. We make sure that we use the Act as the law to assist them in settling their disputes. The functions of the Department of Cooperatives: to register all cooperative societies. We issue a certificate. We place your name in the Gazette. Yes, Government of Grenada Gazette. Conditions for registration must be met. Your bylaws, your business plan, as I said earlier on, confirm the viability of the business and the venture. Membership, not less than 10 persons. And I just want to remind persons, sooner or later, that 10 will be removed. On the revision from the Act, it will be moved up to a higher number. So persons wishing to come together, make sure that you are of the same mind. We don't want persons to say, oh, I have 5 and I would like to form a cooperative. No, we want to get you involved in that as early as possible. And there is application fees for that. We inspect and authorize inspection. We come in to see what your books look like. Sometimes they call us the police, but we are not the big bad wolf. We need to know that everything is going on fine in your cooperatives, whether you make money or not. We want to make sure that we do the inspection and do it properly. Yeah. It's some persons in the existing ones will say, well, why every time you all want to come and see what? No, that's the law. The law provides that for us to inspect. We monitor. We do on-site monitoring as well as off-site. Monthly financial statements. We want to look at the trends. We want to look at the risk that you're taking. Yes, it's your cooperative, but we still have to be part and parcel of it. We supervise and regulate all non-financial cooperative societies, ensuring that the enforcement and compliance of the cooperatives are met. Yes, officers visit the cooperatives on a monthly basis. They look at the minutes. We look at your cash book, your receipt books, your payments, your deposit, all your policies. Make sure that everything is in order. Your procedures, how you go about. Yes, so we are ensuring that you are compliant. We assess So we want to verify the knowledge of the society, of all the methods that you use. How did you come up with this? And why did you come up with that? All your plans, your reporting systems, how do you report to your members? That mostly so for the board of directors. You want to know how you are reporting to them. What kind of information are you giving them? So we look at all these things. We dissolve. Most of the times when I go out to do introduction to cooperative, I don't really like to speak about dissolve or the dissolution of a cooperative. You can start wanting people to form and still tell them, but we just give them a little insight that you can be dissolved at any point in time. If you're not managing properly, you're not carrying on with your business, we would have to do to dissolve you or deregister you. And this can come from 3 places: from the members, from the acting registrar, and from the court. All right. So that's what we do in the dissolving of cooperatives. And the deregistering process, which I spoke about, these are years of not doing anything at all. We have not heard about you. We don't know what is going on. Sometimes when you go out and you get the information, you realize persons have left, gone away, and they just left the business like that. So in light of this, we go out, seek information, and have you, at least, even if there is 2 persons or 3 persons there still, we can ask, do you want to revive your cooperative again? There is a place in the Act to assist you in that. If not, we will deregister you. And that process is be gazetted. That will be gazetted. We also do the approval of amendments to your bylaws. There are times as you go along doing business, you want to change something. All right? So you will decide on where do you want to change. So you do your changes and let the registrar know these are the things that we want to change, and they will be signed off by the registrar. Following up of auditing. Persons may see that I have a business, I don't need to have an auditor to do my books. No, we do. The law provides for an auditor. Every 5 years, you have to make some changes. So we approve that. We may, if you cannot find one, we'll be able to get one for you. And this is where it's end for now. I thank you so much.
Just to add a little bit, we also engage in issuing guidelines with respect to prudential standards, and also to combat anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. Another thing that we do as a department as well is to, if after an examination the registrar is not satisfied with certain things, probably the cooperative is engaging in some action that may lead to the cooperative, the assets of the cooperative not being safeguarded, right? The registrar has the authority to provide guidelines, yes? And there are other instances where the cooperative may be on the verge of bankruptcy. As a matter of fact, there is one particular cooperative that was on the verge of bankruptcy some years ago, and the registrar at the time had to place that cooperative under administrative supervision, and the receiver manager was appointed. The receiver manager took over the cooperative for a period of 6 months in the first instance, and then a further 6 months. And today, that cooperative is up and running and viable and doing very well. So these are some of the things that we engage in as well.
Okay, so the rules and functions are quite intense.
Yes, very much so.
our viewers, and that brings us to the end of this discussion. I want to express my gratitude to our exceptional guests, Ms. Sylester and Mrs. Hood Williams, for sharing your invaluable expertise and experience with us today. I hope this conversation has sparked your curiosity and encouraged you to explore the world of cooperatives further. Remember, the power of cooperation lies within each of us, and by coming together, we can achieve extraordinary outcomes that benefit not just ourselves, but also our communities and the country as a whole. As we conclude this episode of Cooperative Spotlight, I invite you to join us again in our future interviews, where we will continue to shed light on the fascinating world of cooperatives and their positive impact on society. Until next time, I am Karima Lewis.